This is a psychological analysis of people who are introvert, not a personality judgment. What follows exposes the mechanisms that shape withdrawal through space, timing, and repetition, not beliefs, emotions, or intent. You position yourself near the edge, away from noise. Distance feels like control, until standing still becomes routine, and the room quietly decides you won't move. Chapter 1. Redefine introversion as placement. People who are introvert are first shaped by where they stand, not what they think. You do not arrive at the edge by accident. The room presents itself, and your body selects distance before your mind assigns meaning. You pause near the wall, not pressed against it, just close enough to feel supported. The center stays open. Movement happens there. You remain where movement passes you by. This is not preference yet, it is positioning. Notice how the environment reads you. Chairs cluster inward, angled toward each other. Light concentrates over the center. Sound travels outward and thins at the perimeter. Without a word spoken, the room divides roles. Those closer to the middle receive pressure. Those at the edge receive relief. You choose relief. Your posture confirms it. Weight shifts to one leg. Arms fold or rest against something solid. The body reduces surface area. Less exposure means fewer variables to manage. The system rewards this immediately, not with praise, but with silence. Silence feels like control because nothing demands response. This is where the illusion begins, that distance equals autonomy. From here, you can observe without being observed. You can listen without committing. You can leave without explanation. These are not personality traits. They are spatial advantages granted to those who occupy the edge consistently. The room trains you quickly. Step inward and pressure rises. Eyes turn, voices address you, decisions accelerate. Step back and pressure dissolves. The body learns the lesson without reflection. One step forward costs energy. One step back restores it. Stillness becomes efficient. Watch how time behaves when you stay near the perimeter. Conversations begin and end without you entering them. Opportunities pass close enough to see, far enough to ignore. Nothing forces a choice. Choice feels optional. Optional choices feel safe. Safety hardens into habit. Over repeated exposures, the body stops testing the center, not because it fears it, but because the edge keeps working. Each successful avoidance reinforces placement. Each event survived without stepping in confirms the strategy. The system does not correct you. It accommodates you. This is the psychological mechanism hidden inside the label introvert. Not temperament, not energy, geometry. Once placement stabilizes, identity follows. You begin to narrate distance as preference. I'm more comfortable observing. I don't need to be involved. These statements arrive after the fact. They explain what the body has already learned. The room never asked who you are. It only responded to where you stayed. Look again at the edge. It offers clarity without consequence. You see patterns others miss because you are not inside them. That observation feels like depth. But observation without entry produces a specific outcome. You remain untested. Untested positions feel permanent because nothing challenges them. This chapter collapses a foundational illusion that introversion originates inside you. It does not. It emerges from repeated success at staying just outside the zone of pressure. Over time, the edge stops being a choice and becomes a role. A role the environment knows how to support. By the end of this frame, one thing should be clear. What feels like personality is often the afterimage of placement. Change the geometry, and behavior changes before identity has time to object. The system has not isolated you yet. It has simply taught you where to stand. What comes next explains how that standing still turns into a loop. Chapter 2. Build the conditioning loop of withdrawal. People who are introvert repeat low-exposure movements that quietly train avoidance. The loop does not begin with refusal, it begins with delay. You arrive late, not dramatically, just after momentum has formed. The room is already warm with conversation, positions are occupied. Entry now requires interruption. You pause at the threshold, feel the density, and choose the familiar option. Wait. Waiting feels neutral. It is not. It is the first repetition. From the edge, you scan. You calculate where attention is highest and where it thins. Your body angles away from the loudest point. One step back reduces pressure. The system registers the outcome. Less demand, fewer signals, lower cost. The loop completes its first cycle. Next time, the delay shortens. You arrive already expecting density. Your body pre-adjusts. Slower pace, reduced eye contact, hands occupied. These are not decisions, they are rehearsals. The body is minimizing entry before entry is even attempted. Exposure drops, relief rises. The loop reinforces. Entry now carries a condition, only if necessary, only if summoned, only if there is a clear role. Ambiguity becomes the trigger for withdrawal. When no one assigns you a position, you assign yourself absence. This is not avoidance of people, it is avoidance of uncertainty. The system rewards this pattern with predictability. By staying out, you preserve a stable internal state. No rapid adjustments, no forced responses, no recalibration. Stability feels like control, so the body repeats what produced it. Notice how repetition compresses options. Early on, you could enter midway. Later, you only enter at the beginning or not at all. Then, only if directly addressed. Then, only if already seated. The window narrows without resistance because each narrowing reduces effort. The loop becomes approach, sense pressure, step back, relief. There is no punishment phase. No loss is registered immediately. Conversations continue without you. Decisions happen elsewhere. Because consequences are delayed, the loop feels harmless. Delayed cost is invisible cost. Over time, the body stops offering entry as an option. It defaults to the perimeter because the perimeter has a proven track record. Proven strategies do not require evaluation. They execute. Here, the illusion that collapses is choice. You believe you are choosing when to engage. In reality, the loop has pre-selected the outcome. Engagement now requires breaking rhythm. Breaking rhythm feels disruptive. Disruption feels risky. The system does not need to isolate you. It only needs to make withdrawal slightly more comfortable than participation. Every time. Comfort compounds. By the end of this chapter, withdrawal is no longer situational. It is procedural. The body knows how to stay out better than it knows how to step in. That knowledge lives in timing, posture, distance, not belief. The loop is installed. What follows is sorting. Once the loop stabilizes, patterns become visible, not to you, but to the system that benefits from predictability. Chapter 3. Segment the introvert archetypes. People who are introvert separate into predictable patterns based on how they enter, where they pause, and when they withdraw. At this stage, the system no longer responds to hesitation. It responds to pattern. Once withdrawal repeats often enough, behavior becomes legible. Not emotionally, spatially. The room begins to know where you will be before you arrive. Doors open into familiar angles. Empty seats remain empty because your body bypasses them. The system does not wait for your decision, it anticipates it. This is where sorting begins. There is the perimeter observer. He arrives early enough to choose distance deliberately. He claims a wall, a corner, a seat with a clear line of sight and no obligation to speak. His posture is stable, minimal movement. His role is visibility without exposure. The system uses him as passive awareness. There is the late arriver. He enters after positions are fixed. He stands longer than necessary. He waits for a gap that rarely appears. When none does, he settles near exits. His pattern trains the system to exclude him from initiation entirely. There is the silent anchor. He stays present for long durations, but rarely shifts position. He nods, he listens, he absorbs. Others project stability onto him because he does not compete for space. His stillness becomes utility. There is the early exit. He enters, registers density, completes a brief interaction, then leaves before pressure rises. His loop is short and efficient. He is remembered as around without ever being inside. These are not identities. They are movement profiles. Notice what all archetypes share: reduced surface area. Each minimizes the number of directions attention can come from. Fewer angles mean fewer demands. The body learns which configuration produces the least disturbance and returns to it automatically. The illusion that collapses here is uniqueness. You may believe your withdrawal is situational, contextual, specific. But once the same geometry repeats across rooms, gatherings, and settings, the pattern becomes transferable. New environments feel familiar because your body rebuilds the same layout inside them. Same distance, same timing, same stillness. The system benefits from this consistency. Predictable units are easy to manage. They do not interrupt flow. They do not demand reconfiguration. They occupy known edges and remain there. At this point, the environment begins to assign expectations without asking you. You are not interrupted because you rarely interrupt. You are not invited inward because you have not practiced inward movement. Absence becomes your signature. This is not punishment. It is optimization. The deeper cost remains deferred. You are present enough to be counted, distant enough to be bypassed. Decisions occur nearby, outcomes are visible. Participation remains optional until it isn't. Recognition sharpens here. You can see yourself described before you describe yourself. That recognition creates tension, because patterns imply trajectory. Trajectory implies continuation. Once sorted, repetition no longer just reinforces behavior, it stretches it across time. That stretching is the next phase. Chapter 4. Harden the pattern through time. People who are introvert extend the same distance-based behaviors across days until withdrawal stops feeling temporary. Nothing changes at once. That is how the pattern survives. The same movements repeat, but now they appear in more places. Not just one room, offices, cafes, classrooms, digital spaces. Anywhere bodies gather, your body reconstructs the same geometry without instruction. You scan first, you choose distance, you settle. Repetition stretches the pattern across time. Early on, withdrawal felt situational. Just today, just this setting, just until things calm down. Over weeks, the explanation fades. The behavior remains. The body no longer waits for justification. It executes. Timing shifts next. You arrive when engagement is lowest. You leave before intensity peaks. This timing feels efficient. It avoids pressure. But efficiency has a side effect. You never experience the middle. The part where roles form, where momentum builds, where positions are negotiated. You miss the compression phase. Without compression, there is no adaptation. The body never practices staying while pressure rises, so pressure always feels foreign. Each encounter resets to the beginning, reinforcing the belief that distance is necessary. The illusion that collapses here is, this isn't permanent. Days pass, weeks align. The same posture appears at the same hour. Your body expects relief from withdrawal at predictable times. Anticipation forms quietly. You begin conserving energy earlier in the day, unconsciously preparing to retreat later. Fatigue supports the pattern. Lower energy reduces experimentation. Reduced experimentation confirms routine. Routine feels stable. Stability feels safe. The system does not isolate you. It allows you to isolate yourself gradually enough that it feels self-directed. Notice how stillness increases. Movements become economical. You speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because speaking changes position. It draws attention inward. Attention inward creates obligation. Obligation costs energy. So you remain where you are. Over time, others adjust. They stop expecting movement from you. They fill the center themselves. This is not exclusion. It is adaptation to your consistency. Consistent absence trains others as effectively as consistent presence. Here, withdrawal becomes environmental memory. You are no longer choosing distance. Distance is choosing you. The body reaches the edge automatically, like water finding the lowest point. Not because it must, but because it always has. This chapter tightens control by revealing a structural truth. Repetition across time removes the feeling of loss. You do not feel excluded, you feel settled. Settled positions rarely invite change, but change is not the threat yet. The next phase relocates control entirely, away from habit and into design. Chapter 5. Shift control to environmental design. People who are introvert are guided by layouts, access points, and friction gradients more than by conscious intent. At this stage, control no longer feels internal. That is because it has moved. The environment begins doing the work your hesitation used to do. Rooms narrow toward the center and widen at the edges. Seating clusters inward, leaving peripheral spots unclaimed. Entrances funnel attention. Exits remain clear. None of this is accidental. Design favors flow, and flow favors those already moving. You respond to these signals without thinking. When chairs face each other tightly, you take the one angled away. When standing space compresses, you drift outward. When conversation requires leaning in, you remain upright. Each micro-adjustment preserves distance. The system does not force withdrawal, it makes withdrawal the path of least resistance. This is how leverage replaces effort. Notice how little needs to happen for you to remain peripheral. No one blocks you, no one pushes you out. The environment simply offers you an easier option. Stand here, sit there, wait a moment longer. You accept because it costs less. The illusion that collapses here is independence. You believe your distance comes from inner preference. In reality, your body is responding correctly to incentives embedded in space. Reduce friction toward the edge, and bodies gather there. Increase friction toward the center, and only those already committed push through. This is not personal, it is mechanical. Control tightens when access becomes asymmetrical. Entry into the center requires initiative, timing, and tolerance for compression. Remaining outside requires none. Over time, the body stops preparing for entry altogether. Preparation without use feels wasteful. Design completes the capture. Digital environments mirror this perfectly. Mute buttons, observer modes, read receipts without reply, presence without participation. These tools feel neutral. They are not. They allow you to remain visible without being engaged, reinforcing the same spatial role in non-physical space. The system now has redundancy. If one environment changes, another preserves the pattern. Withdrawal becomes portable. Here, tension rises, not emotionally, but structurally. You can sense that something is fixed. The edge no longer feels like a temporary vantage point. It feels assigned. The center feels distant, not threatening, just inaccessible without cost. That cost has increased quietly. To move inward now would require overriding environmental cues, breaking rhythm, tolerating compression, and reintroducing friction. The body recognizes this as inefficiency. Inefficiency feels wrong after long periods of optimized stillness. This chapter tightens awareness by showing where control truly resides. Not in your thoughts, not in your temperament, in the silent instructions written into space. Once space decides where you belong, identity follows. That replacement is next. Chapter 6. Replace identity with peripheral function. People who are introvert are gradually converted from participants into fixtures optimized for observation. Replacement does not announce itself, it stabilizes. By now, the edge is no longer something you choose when the room appears. It appears with the room. The moment you enter, your body knows where it will end up. There is no scan, no evaluation, just alignment. This is how function replaces identity, through certainty. You are no longer deciding to observe, you are observed observing. Others orient around your consistency. They speak past you, not over you. They include you without involving you. Your presence registers as background, useful, calm, non-disruptive. You become a fixed point in the environment, like a pillar or a window, always there, never in the way. This feels neutral. It is not. Identity once depended on movement, stepping in, stepping out, adjusting, negotiating space. Without movement, identity thins. You stop testing who you could be because the environment has already assigned what you are. The role is efficient. You listen well, you remember details, you see patterns others miss. These are not rewards, they are compensations. The system gives you perception in exchange for participation. Observation replaces agency. Language adapts to protect the role. You describe yourself as low maintenance, independent, fine on your own. These descriptions are accurate but incomplete. They explain the function, not the cost. Functions do not need permission to continue. They persist because they fit. Notice how resistance fades, not because you agree, but because nothing pushes back. You are not challenged, interrupted, or redirected. Without friction, there is no reason to move. Without movement, there is no reason to reassess. This is the core replacement. You are no longer a chooser navigating space. You are a stable element space navigates around. The illusion that collapses here is self-authorship. You believe you are expressing who you are. In reality, you are maintaining a position that has proven compatible with the system's flow. Compatibility feels like authenticity because it produces no conflict. But compatibility is not sovereignty. Sovereignty requires displacement. It requires entering zones that do not immediately accommodate you. The system avoids offering those zones because they introduce unpredictability. Predictability is the currency here. By the end of this chapter, the transformation is complete. Not dramatic, not tragic, clean. A man who once moved has become a position that stays. What remains is not advice, correction, or motivation. What remains is a boundary. Chapter 7. Draw the exit boundary. People who are introvert confront a physical boundary where remaining peripheral preserves function and relocation dismantles it. Nothing new is introduced here. That is intentional. The room is the same. The edge is where it always is. The center is still active, compressed, loud with motion. The system does not change conditions at the moment of decision. It waits to see whether you will. This is the boundary. On one side, everything continues without friction. You stand where sight lines are clear and demands are low. Your posture fits the space. Your role is understood. You do not need to negotiate entry because entry is no longer expected. Remaining here costs nothing. On the other side is relocation. Not expression, not confidence. Relocation. Relocation means stepping forward before invitation, changing angle, accepting compression, letting attention land on you without immediately redirecting it. This is not a mindset shift. It is a spatial disruption. The body must cross distance and stay there long enough for the system to recalibrate. The system resists this quietly. It does not block you. It increases cost. Noise rises. Pace accelerates. Feedback becomes immediate. The edge loses its cushioning. This feels inefficient after long optimization. Inefficiency registers as threat, not because it is dangerous, but because it breaks rhythm. This is the final illusion that collapses, that awareness alone changes placement. Awareness without movement becomes another observer position. You can see the system clearly and still remain exactly where it prefers you. Insight does not dissolve function. Only displacement does. The exit is not symbolic. It is geometric. Stand where pressure exists. Remain when attention turns. Move before certainty appears. These actions are expensive. That is why they work. The system thrives on low-cost continuations. It weakens when forced to adapt to bodies that do not stay put. There is no encouragement here, no promise, no improvement narrative. If you remain at the edge, the system retains you as a stable element. It will continue to reward stillness with invisibility and call it peace. If you relocate, the system loses its clean lines. Roles blur. Expectations reset. The edge no longer defines you because you are no longer occupying it consistently. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about refusing to remain a position. The boundary is already drawn. The room will not announce it again. It will simply wait to see whether you stay where you always have, or whether you step into a space that does not yet know how to hold you. That is the only exit that exists.